One way to stay cool on a hot summer day is to think Christmas. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on Sunday, June 27th, 2021, the last Sunday and the last weekend of the month of June. The Joe and Joe forecast, the Joe and Joe show, Weather Show, brought to you by, and this is what I mean by staying cool, by thinking about Christmas. Wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs, whether you want your home decorated for Christmas or perhaps you might want to do this to make a little extra money or make it part of your own regular business. They're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst. The phone number there is 631-957-5106. They're a Long Island company. Great way to support a local business. And the website is liholidaylighting.com. And, of course, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town on everything you need for your yard, your house, or emergency supplies in case we get a tropical storm or a hurricane. And the website there is omnitruevalue.com. So I'm sure thinking about Christmas, Joe, should make you want to shut off your air conditioner for about 5 seconds.
Well, I actually posted the other day on my Facebook page the fact that we were 6 months away from Christmas, and a lot of people got very upset with me for pointing that out, that there were 182 shopping days left till Christmas time. They said, please don't remind us of that. We're not even into summer yet.
See, I've always operated on the theory that by July 4th, you should have half your Christmas shopping done. And by Labor Day, Christmas shopping should be rushed to completion. I'm not kidding around though. With all the supply bottlenecks worldwide in trying to get products and shortages of everything, and this is going to include toy shortages. So if you got to get toys for the kids for Christmas, you might want to think about getting them early because they're having trouble bringing those toys in from where they manufacture them in China. So, it might not be a bad idea to think ahead.
Well, we just recycled some of the old toys that we grew up with, like Mr. Machine. or Mr. Peanut Butter Maker.
Right. Or if you really want to get a gift for somebody that you can't, for the child of someone that you really don't care for, get them Play-Doh. They will be clean. They will be cleaning it up for the next 20 years. They'll find Play-Doh years from now somewhere in the house.
Now, before we continue with this,
yes.
I had mentioned to you before we started that I was getting this weird echo effect in my headphones.
Yes.
And somebody on the chat board just mentioned that as well. Said Joe Rayo has a weird echo effect. Craig Carlberg.
Okay.
Said,
so you have an audio channel open on your computer somewhere.
I don't know, Joe. I don't see anything that's.
Do you have, all right, so you have your headsets turned on. Do you also have your computer microphone turned on at the same time?
I could check to see what.
I mean, because your audio actually is sounding very, hang on a second.
Okay.
Hold on. I just realized something here on my end. Let's see. Talk to me.
Hello.
All right, let's see if the echo went away.
The echo's gone.
It's gone.
The echo is gone.
So
what was it?
I will take fault for that. My headset wasn't plugged in. So it's actually my computer doing this. Technology, Joe, technology.
There you go. All right.
Okay, so we've got two hot areas of weather in the U.S. and heavy rains and thunderstorms in between, and obviously, we're seeing here in the East the very warm and humid conditions that are going to go to hot and humid tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those will be the three hottest days. And of course, you always see the frontal boundary that lies to the west and the showers and storms from West Texas running northeast of the Great Lakes. But then go west of the Rockies, Joe. I mean, it is so. There's not a cloud anywhere. It's absolutely bone dry, and they're really set up to burn up.
Royal.
Yes, and we're going to see all-time record highs go by the board today in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and maybe even into western Montana. It is going to be brutally hot there.
And the frightening thing about this is that this looks like it's going to be the story right on through into next weekend. I mean, there's not going to be any kind of a break. They can't look ahead, let's say, 4, 5, 6 days down the road and say, okay, there's the front that's going to break this, because there isn't any front that's going to break this. If you live out in that part of the country, it is excessively hot and will remain so for a number of days to come. And I don't even understand how you could, you look at something like this, you say to yourself, oh my God, this is, this is it.
I heard somewhere that only 30% of the people in this part of the country have air conditioning. So, and by the way, the idea that it might be a dry heat, it kind of depends on where you work. Because I happened to pull up the observation at 5:00 yesterday afternoon in Seattle, where it was 99, and the dew point was 64.
Ow!
Yeah, I mean that's not.
Ow!
I mean, that's kind of that's a little high. I mean, you'd like to see, if you're going to be up close to 100, you at least want to get your dew points down into the 50s.
Right.
But to see the dew point up at 64, that was a bit of a revelation with respect to that. Now I pulled up the high temperature forecast map for today. I'm sorry, this is for Monday. I'm sorry, I'll switch over to the day in a moment. But just looking at tomorrow. Portland 111, Salem, Oregon 107, Olympia, Washington 111, Seattle 111, and Kennewick, Washington, the top spot at 114, Spokane at 105. I mean, these are really crazy numbers for high temperatures. In Idaho, Boise 102. I don't know what that spot is up in northern Idaho, but because they don't have a geographic indicator here on this map. 113 there. And in western Montana, westernmost of Montana, near the Idaho state line, the northwest corner of the state, you're looking at temperatures there well over 100 degrees. Now, that's for tomorrow. Let me punch up today and see what today has to offer. And you're looking at 104 in Seattle, 107 in Olympia, 113 in Portland and Salem, 111 in Kennewick, Spokane 102, Boise today a crisp 98. You got a big upper high up there, and you basically have nothing. There's nothing you can do until that upper high breaks down. It's that simple.
Yes, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I don't, and I just did a quickie calculation. They have a heat index calculator on the internet, Joe. You're 99 Fahrenheit and 64 Fahrenheit for Seattle. Actually, I'm surprised that it's not even worse. It translates into a heat index of 102. I would have thought it would have been much higher than that, but it's going to be the killer. All of this week. I mean, like when you say only 1 out of 3 people have access to air conditioning with these kind of temperatures. I mean, what did the other 2 out of 3 do? I mean, I guess what you do is you open up your windows at night, just lie on your bed, and try not to think of the heat, even though sweat continues to build up on your forehead. Oh,
yeah, it's one thing if you're in Seattle or Olympia, at least you could probably hop in the car and go to the coast. But if you're far inland, you got a much longer drive. Now Tuesday, the upper high actually shifts a little bit westward, so that's actually good news for the bigger cities. Seattle, 90 for a high, 88 for Olympia, 95 for Portland, 93 for Salem. But Kennewick, which is in the southeastern part of Washington State, 115. And Spokane, 109. Boise, 104. That's on Tuesday. And Wednesday, we'll see what the Wednesday numbers show us here. It'll just take a second or two to populate. and it actually cools off in the bigger cities. 83 for Seattle, Portland 89, 90 in Salem, but Kennewick still at 111, Boise at 106. I mean, just nuts. And of course, you go further east. On the other side of the Rockies, it's nice and cool, relatively speaking. Denver only 82 for a high come Wednesday. Temperatures on Tuesday, 78 for a high on Tuesday. Monday 73, and Sunday, which is today, 72. So just jump to the other side of the Rockies, and you are in a whole different world.
And I'm just looking at the maximum temperature forecast from NOAA, from the Weather Prediction Center. For the forecaster, by the way, is Kong. And I should point out that I actually met my wife and I. We actually met him at a weather conference several years ago. He actually, Joe, is a CCNY graduate.
Yes.
From the 1990s. Actually, he was in Stan Getzelman's class. You and I had Stan, and he now has graduated to being a forecaster at the Weather Prediction Center down in Washington. But his forecast for next Sunday, which will be the fabulous 4th of July, doesn't show too much of a change. He's got temperatures in the low and mid 90s across Montana, across much of Idaho. He's got, I think, Boise 104. The coastal areas are places closest to the coastal plain, like Seattle, only 88 for them. So a bit of relief if you want to go to the coast. And meanwhile, for our neck of the woods, he is calling for projecting high temperatures, mostly in the lower to maybe middle 80s for the 4th of July, which really isn't all that bad. However,
Right.
Go along with those temperatures for next Sunday, if you want to go all the way out that far, it looks like we may have to be dealing with a threat of some showery weather here on Sunday next. So the heat may be tempered by some precipitation if you want to go all the way out 7 days for the holiday, the fabulous 4th.
Depending on which model you want to use and which run it is, because they've been flipping back and forth now for 4 days. We'll get to that momentarily. The Weather Service's watches and warnings map today, you see all that purple that's out from Southern California away from the coast to Northwest Nevada, Northern California, and on up into Washington, Oregon, and Western and Northern Idaho, all under excessive heat warnings, heat advisories in the orange on the other side. Flash flood watches up from Southwest Texas northeast into Oklahoma and southwestern Missouri. That's on the satellite. You saw that continuous stream of clouds and moisture. Everything's kind of stuck with an upper high to the east and an upper high in the northwest. And here in the east, it's going to be under an upper high that is not nearly as strong or as dominant as the one in the Pacific Northwest. So that's why the temperatures, while hot, low and middle 90s, are not going to get crazy hot. Which is I guess one solace, just some solace you can take out of it. Meanwhile, I was actually a little surprised yesterday, Joe, at how much. I mean, it wasn't a lot, and most areas really didn't get anything, but there were bands of scattered showers and downpours that showed up yesterday. I guess that little weak spin up low on Friday moved away, but a lot of the moisture just kind of hung around, and throw in a little daytime heating and dew points over 70, and you wound up seeing. I was a little surprised. I was surprised to see the scattered showers develop to the extent that they did.
Well, we had yesterday at my son's house. We had the 1 year delay of my daughter-in-law's bridal shower, and fortunately they did in the backyard have a tent for all of the invited guests, and it was fortunate because there was one particular moment, well, more than a moment, there was about a 15-minute stretch where we had a steady light rainfall, and Renata was checking on her iPhone, looking at the radar, and that was so wonderful to be able to do that. I mean, I think back to 40 years ago when we used to sit there with our grease pencils and try to plot out, where radar was suggesting precip is. Now you can just pull out your iPhone, and there was one stray shower that was pretty much just about over our area. Everybody else
Right.
around us was dry, but if it wasn't and I actually was talking to my mother-in-law of no my Joseph's mother-in-law, because she was saying like, "What are you doing to us, Joe? What do you?" As if I had any control over this. And I said, "Look, what would you prefer? Would you rather prefer the showers that we're having right now, or would you prefer the sun being out with temperatures near 90 and a heat index into the 90s to near 100?" And she saw the justice of that and said, "Well, I guess we'd rather have what's going on right now." P.S. 15 minutes later, after the showers had ended in our area, the sun came out and it got oppressively humid. So, and I'm saying to myself, I'm looking to the skies and I'm saying, it was beautiful here Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and no problems, no humidity, whatever. And of course, naturally, the day of the shower, we had to deal with either showers or we had to deal with the humidity. So that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I lost my radar shot here. Hang on a second. Let me bring it back up. I know how to. Now that since you told me about the secret hiding place that the Weather Service has the radar at.
Oh,
You know what? Not all the NOAA websites have this. Albany has it, but I really New York doesn't. Mount Holly doesn't. So it's nice. It's nice that it's there. Radars.
no, it's nice that it's there, but I suspect that the weather services or weather service offices that do not have what Albany is showing are simply saluting to NOAA and the people who instituted that horrific radar that they installed in January, and saying, no, we're sharpening the pencils, we're following right along, we're doing what needs to be done, and showing this. And then there are other offices like Albany saying, the heck with this, we're just going to go back to
works.
the easy stuff.
It certainly worked for me and for us. Radars are quiet in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. There's a little bit of scattered activity in parts of western North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Not too much going on, just some light scattered activity over the state of Florida. Some stuff out in the Gulf of Mexico and into parts of southeast Louisiana and on the coastal bend of Texas. And then, of course, you see the heavier rains that are going on from southwest Texas and a couple of flood advisories that are up here at 11:17 Eastern Time in parts of West Texas. And you see showers running northeast from there into Oklahoma and eastern Kansas, Missouri. This is where it's been playing for much of this week in terms of the rainfall. We're seeing some showers and a few thunderstorms in northwestern Wisconsin, another little arm there coming down into North Dakota, some scattered stuff in Wyoming, and nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing in the western part of the U.S. The Storm Prediction Center's got a relatively quiet day today as far as severe weather is concerned. Just a couple of small areas of marginal risk, one in southwestern-most Texas and southern New Mexico, another area that extends from the smallish corner of northeastern Oklahoma, northeast through central Missouri, central Illinois, northern Indiana, and southeastern Michigan, and a small portion of northwestern Ohio. For Monday, SPC has got a small risk area in down east Maine, and everywhere else just general thunderstorm activity. Although, Joe, note that from just south of Boston to about New York City to Philadelphia to Washington, D.C., Baltimore, south and east of there, no thunderstorm activity forecast at all. And I can't see how you're going to get anything other than a pop-up with the big upper high sitting over your head.
Now we have another technical problem, Joe.
Now what?
And I'm not the only one who's noticing this. I thought it was something that.
Why is that doing that? I just noticed it. I know. Hold on a second. I just see it.
Now the people at Giannini will love you because we've had 18 minutes of this show.
I got it. Thank you, Mrs. Rayo. I know what I found the problem. Okay. I saw it before. I thought I corrected it. I had to open an extra window the other day, so just let me you know what? Let's just get rid of it. And this, it's Sunday morning, for Christ's sake. All right, now we're fine. Okay, sorry about that. The risk areas were teeny tiny anyway. You didn't need to see the map anyhow. There's your radar.
Uh,
I don't know how everybody's being evil here. All right, there you go from
well,
SPC for Wednesday. This is Tuesday into Wednesday. Just some general thunderstorm activity. They got no severe weather forecast anywhere, and days 4 through 8 looks like predictability too low for all those that 5 day stretch 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's cool. And as far as the rainfall is concerned, now this goes out, Joe, through. Now what?
something wrong?
Yeah. Oh, it. These maps are switching on their own. Let's try this
Uh-oh.
again. Okay, here we go. So here's WPC's rainfall forecast map. I haven't been drinking, I promise you. They got this goes out through next Sunday morning, 8 a.m. and they're showing. Now we have the chance for thunderstorms on Wednesday. We have the chance probably, and depending on how it plays. Either we wait till Friday, which if you go with the European and yesterday's GFS, bringing a cold front through late Friday with a strong upper trough, thunderstorms, and maybe even some severe weather with that, I thought, when I was looking at it, and a dry Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Or you go back to what the European did several days ago and what the GFS is doing now, which is basically cutting off this trough in the Ohio Valley and creating a southerly flow and having to deal with showers beginning Wednesday night and then on and off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So either way, WPC's looking at inch and a half to 2.5 inches of rain over the 7-day time frame. But there's so much there's so many model differences here. I kind of threw my hands up for after Wednesday, at least at this point.
And I'm just happy the fact that after this brief period of broiling hot weather that we're going to be looking at, and we do have heat advisories posted by the National Weather Service for our vicinity. I'm just happy that toward the end of this week, the heat will go down. But again, depending upon what model you believe, presumably going down because it's being tempered by the clouds and an increasing threat of rain and shower activity too. So, you pick your poison, so to speak.
I just can't seem to get a handle on which model has the lead in all of this. And one of the things that's been we've seen amplitude here on these upper troughs in the east being so deep and so far south. And I looked at I don't know, I think it was on Friday that the GFS had the deep trough all the way down to North Florida. And I was looking at the dew point maps for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and it had dew points back in the 40s again. The models seem to just be handling it. Anytime you have, you've got this ridiculously strong upper high in the Northwest, you've got this strong upper high in the East. I think whenever you have these things pushed to extremes, a lot of times the models have a really difficult time grasping at which way this is all going to go. And, you just find yourself sort of going from run to run, trying to get some direction out of this. I mean, the chairman, he asked me a couple of days ago with regards to the weather for the weekend down on the Jersey Shore. I mean, I was kind of going with the idea of the full trough, more of the full trough, because that's what we've been seeing, and patterns like to repeat until they don't. So I just kind of went with that idea. I don't know. I'm confused here from the standpoint of trying to figure it out.
It's not often that you see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contour cutoff over the Ohio Valley on the Saturday of 4th of July weekend. It's not often you see something like that, but that's exactly what the GFS is suggesting.
And that's what
the
European had. That's exactly what the European had a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So when the GFS had a full latitude
don't forget,
trough.
don't forget this is the quote new GFS, which has been around now for about 4 to 6 weeks. That they switched off to this what you call the perpendicular GFS.
Right.
I mean, they seem to every time they seem to have problems. They start off with a new GFS and then they try to work it in, and then when they figure, okay, this is good enough, and they get rid of the old GFS and bring in the new GFS. And as I said, it doesn't give us time to work or to get accustomed to a specific model. In this case, these new GFS models, and be able to ferret out, the quirks, so to speak, before you have a chance to do that. All of a sudden, they're jamming down our throats a new GFS. So I don't even know what the hell this GFS model is doing right now.
Right, and
it doesn't say more often than not. It's never seemingly on the same page with the European, and that simply, folks, is not right.
yes, and because of all of this, I decided to put the NAM model up today.
Okay.
And this is for tomorrow, and I kind of I drew where the upper highs are. Actually, if you look at the whole profile of weather across the United States, this is summer. This is what summer looks like, where the westerlies have pulled up into Canada. You've got strong ridges in one place or another. In this case, we're seeing strong ridge off the East Coast, and also that very powerful upper high that's sitting up in the Northwest. Bill Fisher said maybe I should start drinking, which I thought was an interesting concept as far as handling this is concerned. And as we go, at least on the NAM model, which is only going to take us into Wednesday, we start to see a trough that drops down into the Great Lakes and makes its approach to the coast Wednesday afternoon and evening. I kind of thought when I was looking at the stuff, John, I don't know how you feel about this, but I thought that Wednesday there was a fairly good chance that we'll see some thunderstorms running around. I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of them get pretty strong with this upper trough that is swinging eastward out of the lakes and into the Northeast. It's not the strongest upper trough in the world, but it's certainly there. I've seen weaker ones than this produce scattered severe areas of severe weather. So I wouldn't be shocked if we wind up seeing a few pop-up severe thunderstorms with this, when this trough tries to move through on Wednesday.
Well, they're talking about on the discussion, the 4 to 8 day convective outlook. They're saying that, as you mentioned, Joe, an upper trough forecast to drop southeastward through Quebec, upper Great Lakes on day 4, which is Wednesday, and day 5, Thursday, and they're thinking that a second stronger shortwave trough may move through the upper Midwest, upper Great Lakes in the wake of the first, and each of these may result in a few severe storms, although the predictability issues, yes, that always seems to come up when you're looking at the 4 to 8 day outlook. Predictability issues, including the quality of the low-level moisture and the amount of destabilization and overall storm coverage, preclude delineating any areas at this forecast range. In other words, put in short and sweet words, we don't know.
The chairman asks, with what's going on in the Pacific Northwest, what kind of upper air pattern would you have similar heat? You just really would need that upper ridge. I mean, we have it in the Mid-Atlantic, but it actually extends out in the Mid-Atlantic states or the northern Mid-Atlantic states. But that upper high also extends out into the Atlantic, and that's somewhat of a mitigating factor as far as heating temperatures are concerned. If you really want to see temperatures up over 100 here, you have to have the upper high in the Pacific Northwest. Center it right over Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and that's and get a northwest or a west northwest wind here, and that's when you'll see your temperatures go up over 100. But this is more of a southwest wind type of scenario, and that usually you don't get temperatures to get up to 100 degrees with just a regular southwest wind. Usually. Yes. So I pulled up the GFS. This is the run from overnight, I believe, the 6C run, just to look at the upper air. And, here's this trough that swings. It's so much different, though. It's got this lead trough, and it just kind of leaves it here in the east. excuse me, drops
Bless
down.
you.
Thank you. In the western lake, in the eastern lakes in the Ohio Valley, you can see how it makes a cutoff low there on Saturday, and then that cutoff just kind of sits there over Ohio and Indiana right through the weekend. And look at which way the flow is here in the eastern part of the United States, if this is correct. And we're not saying it is, but here we go in the eastern part of the United States. Now you suddenly have a south-southwest flow aloft, and that's in a setup like this with an upper low to the west. That's not a good setup. That's going to bring moisture up the Atlantic coast, and you wind up with showers and storms or downpours and some thunderstorms. And of course, then you got to wait for the trough to clear the coastline, and this GFS model doesn't do that until sometime on Tuesday. But then again, let's look at the European from overnight, and from the overnight run of the European doesn't do that. The overnight run of the European swings the trough. It's got a weak trough that comes through on Wednesday that you can barely find, a stronger one that drops into the western lakes Thursday night, swings over to the coast Friday night. So this would kind of bring a cold front through here. And then it takes its time moving it offshore, but by Sunday, it's out of here. So this would probably maybe put Saturday at a little bit of a risk, but it would suggest that Sunday and Monday should be fine. Like you said earlier, how many times do you see a multi-wrapped up cutoff low in the Ohio Valley in early July?
Well, the European, even though the position is different, I mean, I'm talking about now for late Saturday as compared to the GFS. The GFS has that, I would say about 300 or 400 miles further to the south and west of where the European is putting it. The difference is that whereas the GFS has this cutoff and it just kind of sits there and then slowly opens up. As you mentioned, the European has this thing swinging right across the northeast, pendulum-like, and I like the look of the European for next Sunday. I mean, like next Sunday, they have the flow coming in from the north and west from James Bay and central Canada. We have that looks like delightful weather to finish out. Not finish out. That would be for the actual holiday. It would put a big smile on a lot of people's faces, especially for the fireworks displays that are scheduled, because that looks like a true blue, a cooling and clearing pattern just in time for the holiday. So who are you going to believe?
Right.
Who you going to call? I don't know.
And this is the Europe I just put up on the screen. This is the European model run from Friday, which looks like the GFS run from overnight, where it's got a wrapped up cutoff Sunday morning sitting near Chicago and a south-southwest flow along the eastern seaboard. And to compare that, why don't we go look at the GFS from, this is so this is the run from last night. So let me go back to, I think it was it Friday afternoon or Friday morning? One of those runs. I'll find it. So this was, even this one. Now this was the run from Friday afternoon, which has got an upper low south of James Bay and basically westerly winds in the upper atmosphere for Sunday. That was 18 on the 25th. So let's go to 12 on the 25th. So I think that was the one that had the trough. No, this one wrapped the cutoff over Lake Superior. And had it so far west, we would be hot and humid for probably the entire weekend. I want to find.
Well, Joe, if you look, we often say the trend is your friend, and if you look at the way the European, if you go run by run, the European, as you pointed out, had that upper trough further back to the west over the central Great Lakes, the Chicago area. But with each passing run since Friday, they have been moving that trough or that close cutoff further to the east. And, that's been the trend of the European. Now, maybe the GFS is slow to learn what the European has picked up on, and maybe in the coming days we'll see the GFS start moving that closed system also to the east and giving us a better chance for nicer conditions here evolving during the upcoming holiday weekend.
Oh
But
no, here's the I'm gonna you see it on the screen momentarily. This was actually yesterday's day run, the 12Z run from yesterday, with the deep trough in southeastern Canada. This is on Saturday evening, and the westerlies all the way down into Georgia, and on Sunday morning, Joe. I mean, this is a repeat performance of the two dry shots that we had. Look at these dew points that the model showed at that. This is another totally different solution with regards to what's going on. It had dew points Sunday morning in the 40s all the way down into northern Georgia.
right, right. So it's take your pick. I mean, like the only two mid and long range models that we can hang our hats on right now. Although, do we? What is the Canadian? We haven't looked at the Canadian.
The Canadian. Well, you think this was wintertime and we were swinging all over the place, looking at all these different models. Let's see what the Canadian has to say. Let me just acknowledge really quick, though, Chris Petrie and Steve Lapointe both hitting Super Chat. Thank you so much, guys. Most appreciated, as always. So let's go to the Canadian model. Of course, the Canadian model leaves the upper low somewhere in Missouri and has a ridge along the East Coast for the weekend, for the whole weekend. I mean, it's so far left with where it leaves the energy that this will just keep it very warm to hot and mostly humid, except for maybe there's a little upper trough there that goes through New England on Saturday. So maybe you get a quick break on the dew points for a little while for Sunday for a short time before it comes up again on Monday. So there's
so it seems to me like the Canadian is more siding with the GFS as opposed to the European, which is in a world of itself.
Right, and the Icon, which is more like the European, has a trough there. I'll have to go back to this is the 12Z only is coming out now on the Icon. So let's go back to the 0Z because that takes us out 180 hours, and we'll take a look at that. Now here's where the Icon, now look at the difference, Joe, from the Icon last night at 0Z for Saturday morning, 2 a.m., and you're seeing an upper low somewhere in Iowa with like a separate trough dropping down in New England. And on the new run, which I'm just going to go, which is out now, this is this is for Saturday. This is, again, Saturday morning. I mean, it's just got basically a positively tilted trough running down the St. Lawrence Valley to the, to western Kentucky, to Arkansas, with the base of the westerlies all the way down to Georgia again. I'll be curious to see. This is going to go out to 180 hours when it's done, and it's only out to 138. I'd be curious to see what this does, because a lot of times the European and the Icon tend to walk hand in hand. So this kind of looks more like what the Europeans' idea is than what the GFS is.
Yes, and then there are people who tonight or today they'll talk about, I was looking ahead to the weather forecast for next weekend. Why can't these people ever tell us exactly what it's going to be? They're always like, and here is your classic. And this also leads into those stations, these TV stations that offer you a 10-day outlook. I mean, it's difficult enough to try to determine what's going to happen 5, 6, 7 days down the road, but they're offering you a 10-day outlook. And
you want to do it. You want to do it with this, with any kind of with confidence in what you're seeing here. I mean, no. The 5-day outlooks have gotten very good, but to go out further than that, it really is an exercise in futility. So
it would be interesting if a television station or a television outlet were to simply say, give you a 5-day outlook and say, this is as far out as we think that it'll be worthwhile to go, and other stations that go beyond 5 days are only offering you a disservice, so to speak.
Right.
And our own, by the way, our old outlet, Joe, the place that you and I spent many of our broadcasting years, They are among the two stations that are offering you a 10-day outlook. So
Yeah.
take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, so it ain't worth much. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the icon surface here. This is rainfall. It's not the radar, but it does bring in some showers and storms for later Wednesday, and the front kind of hangs up along the coast. You've got a stronger trough in front for Thursday afternoon with some showers and storms. That stalls on the coast, and it's got some kind of wave because remember the trough is positively tilted, so you're going to have taking its time moving east. So you're going to probably have to deal with another wave on Friday night, with a low sitting off of Chesapeake Bay. But, I'm kind of looking at this surface and thinking, well, if I want to extend it out logically, that low's going to run out early Saturday morning. The front will get forced to the south, and that dry, cool high to the north in Canada will build in. And Saturday, Sunday, and Monday would probably wind up being 3 very good days.
We'd love that, wouldn't we? Can we say that with any absolute certainty or surety, though? No.
No, well, not until we get. Look, I'll just say this: a five contour wrap cutoff in the Ohio Valley in early July, to me, is very suspect. I think honestly that it is far more likely, considering the fact that we have seen in the last 2 weeks 2 deep troughs. Really, I mean, those troughs for this time of year were something that I can't remember the last time to see something that far south. But to see 2 deep troughs like that in the eastern part of the United States in the second half of June, it says to me that it's more likely than not that you'll see something like that versus something that gets left behind and gets wrapped up somewhere in the Ohio Valley, like some of the models have been jumping around with. So I'm going to lean optimistic as far as the holiday weekend is concerned, but very cautiously optimistic because of all this variability that's going on. And in terms of specifics, you tell me, because I don't know how until we resolve exactly until we resolve exactly how the upper air is going to play out this week, you really can't put any kind of forecast for the holiday weekend with any kind of confidence, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, all right. Fair enough.
So let's wish Mother Briller well. She is recovering slowly. She's going to start her therapy next week, and she's with the chairman down on the Jersey Shore. So enjoy your time. I know she's got the with the fracture in the pelvis, it makes it very difficult to get around. But it's always better, I guess, to keep when you're in situations like that. They always tell you to keep moving. It's better to keep moving than not moving. So I know when I occasionally get my back things, it always is better. It always seems better to move around rather than just than not. I'm not a doctor. I'm just I'm just expressing my. I'm just going on and on.
I mean, for example, if you have a problem with your knee, for example, and you go to bed for like 6 or 8 hours or whatever, you wake up, and due to the lack of any kind of movement of the knee will give you a real problem. It may even be very painful when you initially try to wake up or try to get up. So it's. Getting old stinks, Joe.
I know.
Could use another term.
But we want Mother Briller to get well so she can get on her roller skates like she usually does and just kind of, goes up and down the boardwalk, the boardwalk there in South Jersey.
And guess what was on television last night, Joe?
Oh, Rear Window. Among other things, the birds too. I watched it all.
The birds were on like that. I watched it all as well.
There was we all, of course,
I thought about you when I saw him when Mrs. Bundy arrived. I thought of you immediately, Joe.
Well, she's on the. I hope I didn't accidentally erase Mrs. Bundy. No,
I learned something about that. I learned something about that movie last night. The person I don't know the gentleman's name who does the commentary after the film is over.
Ben Mankiewicz.
He mentioned that in the final scene when Tippi Hedren goes up into the attic where the birds have broken through the roof or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the effects of the birds were special effects that were added later on. But for that particular scene, unbeknownst to Tippi Hedren, when she goes up into the attic, that room was actually filled with birds,
Yes.
and that
Well,
and that was
Hitchcock had originally told her that they were going to use fake birds, and then he changed his mind and just kind of didn't tell her about it.
right, exactly, and that caused her to. I think he said she had like a 7-year contract, and she broke the contract after the birds,
Well, there
and
was at Marnie, but there was you left out the part that Mankiewicz gets into about the fact that Hitchcock kind of, I mean, he really went at her sexual harassment, according to what's been written about it and what she has said. So yeah, she said she wasn't going to honor her contract, so he said he would make, I'll make sure you never work in this town again. And she couldn't get any work for 7 years. And oddly enough, I mean, we have a shot there of Mrs. Bundy with Tippi Hedren. This was her first movie. She had never done a movie before, and I watched that. I watched carefully yesterday. I mean, she was good in this role. She really was. She, not having done a movie, and then after that, she did Marnie, which is a really tough. I mean, that's a really tough role she played in Marnie. Because of the abuse and memory repression that the character goes through. I mean, this was quite a I thought it was quite a performance. And
the thing I can't understand about the birds though is that the woman with the 2 children,
yes,
she almost was like sticking up for Tippi Hedren initially by saying, "Why don't you believe this woman? If she says that the birds attacked, you say to yourself, well, at least she has somebody on her side, a Confederate, so to speak." But after the attack with the cars blowing up and everything, and they all run back into the restaurant, all of a sudden that same woman, eyes glaring,
right, you're evil, you're
You're evil.
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 But that I thought shows well the madness of crowds. 1 minute the crowd it goes one way. The next minute the crowd goes. 1 minute the crowd loves somebody, and then a minute later they don't. This was an interesting conversation because I'm part of a Turner Classic Movie group on Facebook because I watch the channel religiously and I just love old movies. But somebody said that this was Hitchcock's attempt at science fiction. This movie, in reality, is about anything but science fiction. It's really the what's going on with the birds and the attacks. It's almost secondary, because it's about the characters. You have 4 characters that are really essentially not very good characters. They're all self-absorbed. Even Suzanne Plachette's character as the school teacher, Miss Hayward, she's wallowing in self-pity. Rod Taylor's character is a bit of an obnoxious ass. Tippi Hedren is also, she's this rich socialite prankster who doesn't give really a damn about anybody except herself. And then Rod Taylor's mother, played by Jessica Tandy. She's this also self-absorbed woman wallowing in self-pity, afraid that she's going to lose her son to another woman. I mean, and all those characters in that movie from start to finish. If you watch closely, all those characters in the movie wind up going through a metamorphosis. They become better people. Okay. Tippi Hedren goes from being an uncaring woman to a caring woman. She's helps his mother, helps his daughter, his sister, played by Veronica Cartwright, by the way. Rod Taylor, same thing. Suzanne Plachette's character, same thing. She gave up her life in order to save Veronica Cartwright. Veronica Cartwright's character, Jessica Tandy, the mother, comes to also at the end. She becomes Tippi Hedren's mother figure in caring for her. So I mean, it's
Right.
really about it's about the characters. It's not so much about who cares why the birds attack, in a sense, because nobody really knows it. But you see these characters kind of change through that whole movie. And then, of course, that was followed by Rear Window, which is I mean, that's to me, Rear Window is one of Alfred Hitchcock's greatest achievements. It's a brilliant movie from start to finish, at so many levels. But for me, I love the fact that I can sit there and watch Grace Kelly, who I just think in those Edith Head costumes those dresses that Edith Head designed, stunning. I mean, she was just an absolutely stunning woman in that movie. My jaw drops as to how beautiful she is. And then you have Thelma Ritter, of course, who's there to steal every single scene that she's in. She said, well, she went through the whole thing about the General Motors line, which I've used with you before, but I remembered another line last night. So Jimmy Stewart spends his time looking out the window, and across the way is Miss Torso. You remember Miss Torso?
Yes.
She's the young blonde dancer who has all these parties at night. She's got these men that are like clawing all over her. And Jimmy Stewart says, Miss Torso, doesn't she look like the happy-go-lucky girl? And Thelma Ritter, without missing a beat, says, and one day she'll be fat old, she'll be a fat old miserable alcoholic. That line it's not just the line, but it's just how the timing, the split second timing of responding to what Jimmy Stewart says to what Thelma Ritter has to say. She steals every scene in that movie by being honest. She's the only one in there that's being honest.
If you ever watch Seinfeld, Julia Louis-Dreyfus actually pays a tribute to the movie. I think I forget what episode it is, but she actually says, "Stella."
Yeah, it's
Stella.
Streetcar Named Desire.
And let's also not forget. I mean, you mentioned Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly and Thelma Ritter. Let's also not forget that Perry Mason was in that movie as well.
Raymond Burr, yeah,
Raymond Burr,
and also
as Lars
Thorwald, and also, by the way, the man who played Mr. Cady was in that movie.
And by the way, also in that movie was the man who created the Chipmunks.
Yes, he's the pianist.
Right, the songwriter Ross Bagdasarian,
mm-hmm.
who later would just go at 78 RPM with 3 different types of voices and create the Chipmunks.
Yep.
There's so many people in that movie that And
that's early in the movie. That's where you find Alfred Hitchcock in that movie because he's winding his clock.
Yes, and in fact, going back to the Birds, in the Birds, you see Alfred Hitchcock appearing,
right?
And his typical and his signature cameo in the Birds at the very beginning of the movie was as a man walking out of the pet shop,
right,
with 2 dogs, and those 2 dogs were actually his dogs. They were Sealyham Terriers, Jeffrey and Stanley.
Isn't that
funny?
funny?
Jeffrey and Stanley made a cameo with their master Alfred Hitchcock, the man who created this whole maudlin feathered drama. And that's I always love watching the beginning of the Birds. I said, I can't miss Alfred Hitchcock's cameo at the very beginning.
Yeah, I know it is. He was sheer genius. All right, let's run through a quick Briller Jeopardy for today, and then we will.
One last thing, I didn't realize until last night. I did not realize it. I watched this. I really watched this film. I'm saying to myself that, Joe, I've been watching the Birds on television for over 50 years, and I never realized one particular character until last night. And do you know who it is?
No.
In the movie? Mel Cooley from the Dick Van Dyke
Oh, yes, Richard Deacon.
Richard Deacon was in that movie as well. Never realized it until I watched it last night.
Playing a
I said,
lech,
oh,
playing the lech in the elevator.
yes.
Yeah, that was Richard Deacon. I meant to mention that to you too. Yeah, too funny. Great. Actually, it's all Hitchcock. It was all Hitchcock yesterday. It's all Hitchcock today, and on Turner Classic Movies. If you haven't sat down and watched, I mean, there's a whole slew of great movies that he made. Strangers on a Train, which is that's a kind of a frightening movie in a number of ways, and
Renata always like we'll watch late night talk shows. We'll watch either Stephen Colbert or we'll watch Jimmy Kimmel, and along about like 12:15, 12:30, she says, "I'm going to bed. I can't take this. I got to go to bed, Joe. I'm tired of it." And she leaves me in the room, so I watch. Sometimes I'll watch Twilight Zone. I will intend to turn the TV off after Twilight Zone. I said, well, let me just see the beginning of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. This is on Me TV, and sometimes I'll be out there until like 2:00 in the morning because Hitchcock just grabs you.
Yeah.
And you can't get away from it. It's like amazing.
Yep.
I'm still waiting to see, by the way, one of my favorite Hitchcock episodes, Lambs to the Slaughter. Do you know that one?
With Barbara Bel Geddes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the leg of lamb.
Leg of lamb.
Yes. That's a good one. That is a very good one. All right,
what do we have for Briller
All right, let's
Jeopardy,
run through Briller Jeopardy really quick. And this is a short. The category today is state brain teasers. So the first question is, how many states, Joe, how many states can you name that begin and end with a vowel? You must get 6 out of 8 to pass.
Okay, Ohio is the easiest one.
Right.
Followed by Iowa.
Right.
And Florida.
Yes, that is. No, it has to start and end in a vowel.
Oh, it has to start and end in a vowel.
Right. Otherwise,
okay.
we'd be all day with just the vowel.
With the ah.
Right.
With the ah.
So just starts and ends with a vowel. So you said Iowa and Ohio both start and end.
How about
in
Idaho?
vowels.
How about Idaho?
Idaho.
Yes.
That's 3.
3
down, 3 to go.
I could go. What the heck is that? Oh. Are you trying to give me a hint with that?
What do you think?
Oklahoma?
Bingo. Oklahoma, where the wind goes swiftly down the plain. Okay, that's 4.
I'm like going in blocks of different parts of the country. I'm saying like Missouri, no. Nebraska, no. Wyoming, Colorado, no.
No, the first two. The first
AEIOU.
Try to go alphabetical. You'll nail 2 states right away.
Alaska.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
I just heard Alabama.
That's 6.
Wasn't I supposed to get 6?
6. So you pass. So there's 2 left.
All right. I know it's not the land of enchantment.
1 in the Southwest and right next door.
Right next door. So it has to be Arizona.
Right.
The double A's are the ones that are.
Right. And
what else?
Not Illinois, but
Illinois.
Not Illinois, but
AEIO.
Not.
We said Arizona.
No,
Stop giving me hints.
Not
Illinois. Give me hints up there. Indiana.
Thank you. All right. Question 2. Now, playing on that, since you've already named these states, since they have vowels, 4 of those states start and end with the same letter.
Okay, so that we talk about Alabama,
Right.
Arizona,
Right.
Alaska,
Right.
and the same letter. Did I say Indiana already?
Yeah, but that's not the same letter.
Right.
Oddly enough, this was the very first state you mentioned in the last question.
The very first state I mentioned in the
In the last question.
Ohio.
Right.
Right.
Ohio, Arizona, Alaska, Alabama. Now, uh, final question. What states end with the letter Y? Actually, there's two final questions. What state ends with the letter Y? There's only, well, I'm not going to tell you.
Ends with the letter Y.
Right.
Why? Washington, Idaho, and I'm going through all the states here.
You're close.
And it's so funny. It's
You're close to one.
I'm close to one.
You're within driving distance of one of them.
New Guernsey.
New Guernsey, correct. And the other one is a much longer drive, but can be done in one day. It has grass that's colored that goes by a name other than green.
Oh, Kentucky.
There you go.
Kentucky bluegrass.
Yes.
And I have driven to Kentucky, by the way, so yes. I know what it's like to drive to Kentucky.
Yes, so do I. And what state? The only state that starts with two vowels.
It starts with two vowels.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with two vowels.
Correct. There's only one state, Joe. One state in the Union that starts with two vowels.
Not Maryland. No. I'm not thinking of the second vowel before I got to the first. Delaware? No.
No. You got to get to a vowel first. Get the vowel states.
Yeah, what I'm doing, as I said, I'm trying to think of the second letter as the vowel before the first letter. I would think that would be easier to find the second vowel first before you get to the first.
Yes, Craig Carlberg, you have the correct answer. Don't look at the chat board.
Well, Craig Carlberg is like behind us here.
Right. You've already answered this. You know, this state has appeared already in two of the questions today.
Ohio, no. Oh, Iowa.
Thank you.
I-N-O, right?
Well, thank God we got that to just after lunchtime. So we wouldn't have to wait till dinner time. All right, so Tim is on the chat board is asking what are the plans for this week. So right now we are definites for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and
yes.
we will discuss beyond Wednesday after that because Joe and I would like to take a little time off. Doing the show is fun, but it is meant, at least certainly for me, it's mentally taxing a bit because of all the technical stuff I got to do. So once a year, I'd like to take a nice little stretch of days off where I'm not thinking about having to be, in my chair at 7:00 at night. Or 11:00 on a Sunday morning. So anyway, we're here. We're going to be here through Wednesday for sure. And then after that, we'll let you know.
If we haven't melted by, yeah. Because you're probably going to be going through the same experience that we're going to be doing up here.
Yeah, I have yet to see 90 here, so it's not.
Well,
I'm not.
Yeah, but you're 2,200 feet above sea level. So
what does that have to do with the price of peanuts, which I can buy here very cheap, by the way, because they grow them here in Georgia. Peaches,
What I'm
peanuts,
saying is,
and
that
peaches, peanuts, and pecans.
what I'm saying is, Joe, is that at 2,200 feet, I mean, dry adiabatically, you're like 8 degrees cooler than, let's say, ground level. So if ground level hits 95, you're still only in the upper 80s. So
Works for me.
yeah,
All right. Enough. Everybody head to the beach. Have a great day. Thanks for the super chat hits today from Steve Lapointe and 2 super chat hits from Chris Petrie. I'm hoping I said that right, or Petrie, or it's Rob Petrie. It's spelt the same way as Rob Petrie spelt it on the Dick Van Dyke Show. So
yes.
I'll leave it up to you, Chris, to let me know which one is the correct, which pronunciation is correct. All right, so you have a good day, Mr. Rayo. Everybody on the chat board and watching the show, hope you've had a great day. And we'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.